I don't want to let those people that are gone out of the loop. I do want you guys to grab out your homework number 57. Let's start there. Homework number 57, let's start there. However, we're not going to end there, because I also want you guys to get out the quizzes and the correction papers that I gave you last week for the beginning of Chapter 9. I'll fill in a couple more logistics, a couple more details. Take a second, pause, time out. Go find your homework 57. Find your homework number 57. It was section 9.6. The exact assignment, the one that we did on Friday that everybody had to take a picture of and or write down before they left the classroom. Oh, you were going on Friday, that's fine.
I still did it though.
Just make sure you wrote them. And, wait, pause, guys. I gave you your quizzes last week. Where are they? Get them out. Jordan, I know about you, but there's a lot of people. I don't see your quizzes. Get them out. I'm trying to quiz in the correction paper. I told you to keep them safe. Alan, look after.
I think eight.
Good. I'll do it.
I don't have a pencil.
You're out your 9-1 and 9-3 quiz in your correction paper. I told you on Friday you gotta have it. Then your homework 57. We're gonna go over questions in just a second. Good, Johnny, you're good at that?
Yeah.
All right, kiddos. Section 9.6. Johnny, since you have it, can you help real quick? Oh, never mind. Oh, thank you. Kiddos, we talked on Friday how some conversations are not helpful to what we need to be doing. AKA, if you have a job someday, and if your employer catches you on your phone, texting your friend about absolutely nothing important to the job you're supposed to be doing, is that going to be a mark for you or against you? And some jobs, literally, it doesn't matter how cool the kid you are, if you have so many marks against you, you're getting fired. Right? And there goes your livelihood, there goes your money for school, there goes your ability to provide for yourself and from your parents. And so you're like, I'd like to get out of my parents' house at some point. Okay, start acting like a good employee now. Start learning how. Come back. I have the evens to your homework that is due today. For those of you that were gone on Friday, here's the assignment. We're in section 9.6. I believe it's page 530.
Yeah, 5:30. 5:30.
Very good, very good. We're going to get back to this homework in just a second. On your desk is your 9-1 to 9-3 quiz. Is your correction paper for doing corrections. But most of you don't have these corrections done, and that is okay. Most of you don't have these corrections done, and that is okay, because we're going to have a bit of a work day today if you guys just can focus and let us get work done. So we're going to go. We're going to go over homework. We're going to see if you guys have questions on 9.6. We're going to get the little book open for section 9.6 so that we can look at this homework. 9.6 though, remember, there wasn't anything huge that was new. There wasn't anything huge that was new. Doesn't mean it was easy, but it wasn't new necessarily. It was kind of putting a lot of things together. Okay? After we go over our homework, we're going to go straight to the quiz corrections, because how can you do well in the test on Wednesday if you don't remember it all 9-1 to 9-3? But some of you are like, you know what? I actually kind of get or got 9-1 to 9-3. Well, you need to finish your corrections. Ask me any questions if you have any. But then, what can you do if you finish your corrections before the end of class? I'm going to put the review up for all of Chapter 9. And you're going to start the review in sections 9-1, 9-2, 9-3 with the quiz is over. Do you still got it? Those of you that finished the corrections early, you're going to see, do I still have it in the review? Then we're going to move on. Our focus tomorrow is going to be 9-4, 9-5, and 9-6. Our focus tomorrow is going to be 9-4, 9-5, and 9-6. Everything with completing square, quadratic formula, discriminants, and this one. Okay? So our focus today. Homework, let's get it out of the way. Then 9-1, 9-2, 9-3. Hopefully we'll also get your corrections done. But if you guys don't focus, if you waste time, you won't be able to ask any questions. And some of you are going to be stuck on this. Okay? Some of you literally just walking up and down the rows. It's going to be silent, you yourself and you time with your corrections. That's goal number 1 after the homework. And then you can raise your hand if you're stuck on a type of correction. Now, if I notice that there are quite a few that did really bad on the first section, I'm gonna be like, everyone who hated the first section, I might have you guys kind of spread out a little bit. I'm like, anyone who hated the first section, come up to the front, let's just talk about all the first section. Then after a little while, I'm like, all right, anyone who hated the second section, come up to the front, let's go talk about the second section. So if you might stay, so if you might leave.
Can go to all three.
Then, and then, well, no, that's the point, like, we can work through the corrections, right? And we can answer questions today, because tomorrow's not the test. When's the test? Wednesday. All right, let's get work done and let's get these things figured out that we don't know, okay? First of all, homework. I'm gonna have you guys keep checking your,
That's it.
well, that's easy.
I asked him.
Should be fast to check, right? Did you guys get stuck anywhere in the evens or the odds? I'm ready to write down any questions you have. Angel.
14.
Number 14. I would love to help you with that. What else? Josh.
16.
14, 16,
21 and 22.
21 and 22. Alan.
20.
It's 19 through 22. So he was just saying, 21 through 22. Sorry, Alan, it was 20? Okay, so he didn't like the last ones. Were those the solve by any method kind of ones?
Yeah.
Those were hard. All right. I'm going to go ahead and open up the book.
So did someone say 20?
Jordan, all the videos are online. Hopefully you were able to access them to know that you were able to. But you have to test us on Wednesday.
Oh, I'm taking on Wednesday.
You have to. School policy, sorry. Figure out for this week. So they can be back. When we come here, but all the videos, no. All the videos are online. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't need to miss anything.
Oh, wait.
But if you need anything, I'll be here after school.
Crazy.
Today, Thursday,
Through
today.
today, tomorrow. I'll be here at least until 4:30 maybe.
What?
Stop, Caleb. This is an A&B conversation. That.
See you
later.
So.
Stop talking smack. Today, I cannot stay later. Tomorrow, I definitely can. Today during lunch, I'm just chilling so people want to see something. I'll be planning to like go home.
Yeah, no, I need to do it tomorrow.
So maybe tonight you can do the notes. And then you can see where you're right. Okay. All right, kiddos, coming back. At 14, 15, 20, and 22, they pull the book up. It should be right here. If I can get to it, there we go. Numbers. Stop wasting your time and my time. Numbers 14 and 15 is right here. Let me go ahead and zoom in real fast. Okay. With number 14 and 15, you guys can see it's just kind of like awkwardly at the bottom. There we go. It says solve by substitution. We wrote this down literally verbatim, word for word in our notes as to what we're supposed to do with substitution. Okay? So for number 14, when I go ahead and bring up, let's see if I can put the notes kind of off to the side. That'd be nice if I could. Anyone talking right now, you're wasting your time and my time because you should be looking in your notes and you should be seeing what those steps are that I just said would be exactly how to solve this problem. I know some of you just don't realize when you are wasting time. I'm just trying to educate you and let you know. Substitution in our notes. I said this one's pretty easy because you just get to set the two equations equal to each other. So if I was to go ahead and quickly add page below, there we go. For number 14, if the directions in the notes literally say set the two equations equal to each other, then I should be able to set negative 3x squared equal to, what's going to be on the other side, guys? 6x plus 3. And this one, the easiest thing to do, step number 2, in your notes, if you were just reading it when you were doing your homework, as I tell you to do every single time, is move everything to one side. On the left, I get 0. On the right, can these two combine?
No.
They are not like terms. So I have 3x squared separate from 6x separate from 3. Now wait, pause. This is a huge thing for the test on Wednesday. You have to know one way, at least, to solve a problem like this, a quadratic equal to 0. We could try to factor. We could try completing the square. Or we could say, oh well, I know the quadratic formula works. I'm not saying this is the best way, I'm not saying this is the fastest way, I'm saying this is a way. Jordan, one of the big things you missed last week was the quadratic formula, but I think you should have.
9.5. That was 3 for 9.4.
Yes, there's no big factor. So the formula is x equals negative b. Let me go ahead and start plugging in, so we don't have time to go too crazy. X equals negative b plus or minus square root
I did you that.
b squared minus 4ac
C over 2A.
okay, nicely done.
That's the final.
Stop. My little six over there, just be quiet. So then I have negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36. I already did the 6 squared. Sorry, I did it a little bit fast. I'm used to doing it a little bit faster. 4 times 3 times 3, 12. Remember, we go left to right. We have 12 times 3 is 36. Oh my goodness. 2 times 3 is 6. That's a 0, right?
Yes, so
So
square root
negative 6 plus or minus square root of 0. The discriminant is 0. Wait, pause. This is a different question, but if the discriminant is 0, how many answers are there? Just one. Because the square root cancels out. I end up just with negative 6. The plus or minus doesn't matter. There's nothing after it. Plus or minus 0, negative 6 stays the same. My one answer, my one solution, 0 x-intercept is x equals negative 1. Huh? You know what? In all my different math classes, everyone says that. No matter how good or bad at they are, just sometimes when a teacher explains something, you're like, oh, I shouldn't know. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. X equals negative. If we were to write it out.
Wait, but it said that. Wait. Are you done?
Yeah, number 14. So what was weird over here? Solve the system by substitution.
Because it's still.
Ah, what did they do? They found the y value also. Coming back.
I see.
Solving the system that is the x, they're just saying like, hey, we're looking for the y2. Because this one didn't start off with just x, it started off with x and 1. So at this point, we would take it and plug into, I think this one looks easier. You could plug it into that one, either one works. But once you have the x, you plug into an equation. I'll plug into x.
Wait.
Once we start our work here, then yes. Using this, we would plug in y equals Angel, Dylan, Caleb. I'm pretty sure that you guys aren't acing this concept right now. So you need to focus. We found x equals negative 1, but there was also a y in the problem, so we need to solve for y. So we plug in the x. PEMDAS says negative 6, 6 times negative 1 first. Add the 3, y equals negative 3. So then, Kaylee, all we have to do, since there was an x and a y in the problem, was get the x and the y. So the difference is, if there is no y in the problem, we're just finding x. But if there is a y in the problem, we're finding x. And that's what I didn't model in Friday's report.
Nice.
Jay.
This might be a stupid question, but how do you get the first equation?
Oh, remember in our notes, substitution says set the two equal to each other when we have quadratics. Because the y's are the same, so we can literally take the y, what it equals, and plug it.
How we do for all of them?
All the substitutions.
And then you have to move it over to have it on.
Move it all to one side. Justin.
And when you were solving for y, why did you just take out the 3x?
Oh, well, there were two different equations that I could have used to find the y.
Okay.
So I chose one.
Okay.
I just picked one. Put it away, put it away, put it away. Thank you. Jacob, go ahead. That's what you have to do. In our notes, what we wrote on Friday, literally, step number 1, take both equations, set them equal to each other. So that's what I did. Then move it all to one side was step number 2. Step number 3, solve using whatever method, factoring, containing, squaring. So you know what I mean. Project. There aren't really 3 formulas. You're going to have to know 91 to 96. And we'll talk more about the test. Okay? Okay, so number 14. Guys, These are good questions, but they're personal questions now. You guys had a question on number 14 and 15. I did one from this section. So that should help you on number 15. You can check the answer in the back of the book. We're going to move on to the next questions that people had, which included, now we're in calculus all of a sudden. That's my crazy. So 14, 15, I'm going to say we did one from that whole section. Now let's go to the section of 20 through 22. So 20 through 22 is the next section. So look, I'm going to do an even whose answer is not in the back of the book, like this section that says elimination. I'm going to do a harder-ish one, just for sake of example. So let me go ahead and let's see which one looks hardest. I'm thinking 22. There's a lot going on in that. So let me go straight to number 22 and let's see how to do that one. Let me zoom in so that you guys can see as well. So then number 22. Okay, I know it's hard for some of you to focus. You don't need to be doing this. You can be working on your quiz corrections. If you do need this, then you should be appreciative and be listening. Number 22. Elimination is different, which is why in our notes we wrote different steps. In our notes for elimination, we said add or subtract. I think I literally said subtract the two equations from each other.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and the nice thing is you don't have to move anything like the olden days. Elimination, sometimes we had to multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 2 and make the terms match. We get to just go ahead and take the top equation, take the bottom equation, because the y's will always match when we're trying to solve two y equals. Yeah, the y's are always going to be by themselves. Why am I writing the 2x way over there with the minus 2? Good, I want the like terms lined up like we do with place values. Dylan, stay awake, hand down. If you don't want to stay in the back. So I have the y's lined up. There is no x squared in this equation, but there are x terms. That's okay. There are x terms, and there are numbers. Good job, Dylan. Do what you think is good.
Yeah.
Okay, now I said subtract. If you subtract a whole equation, what needs to happen to that minus? Where does it need to go? Every single piece. So, if the minus comes to the y, there's going to be a minus. If the minus comes to the 2x, there's going to be a minus. What happens when the minus comes to the minus? Now I can do a little check and say, hey, I'm good. Another way of showing that check, Tyler, and see your eyes facing this way, is to put a plus. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate it. Good choice. Rob. Okay, good choice. Thank you. So then I have the plus. Now, kiddos, what happens as I add the y's down? A y minus a y is right here. A y minus a y. 0. So this can just become 0. Now, negative 2x squared, when there is nothing below him, what is being added to him? You can fill any blanks with a 0. So what's negative 2x squared plus 0x squared? It stays the same. Now, when I put these two terms together, is negative 2x squared and 0, just make negative 2x squared. How about plus x minus 2x? How many x's are there if there's no number? Well, if there's no number, there's 1, right? If there's nothing, 0. But if there's an x with no number, well, there is one of those, right? So what's 1x minus 2x? Negative x, negative 1x. Good. So I have negative 1x. I don't usually write the 1. Minus 1. And then, good, Kaylee's already done the negative 3 plus 2 is minus 1. Now, just like the last problem, once we get here, we have choices to make. We can try to solve with factoring, but most of you are strong in factoring. We can try square root, but that's not good, because we have this guy, and he messes up the square root from section 9.4. We could try completing the square, but that doesn't. We could use the formula. So A is equal to?
A is equal to the.
Oh, no. Just what is A? Negative 2 is the number, right? What is B equal to? Negative 1. C is negative 1. Now, guys, on the test on Wednesday, are you going to be able to plug into a formula that is not written on the test for you? Because it's not. No, you have to memorize. So, let's see if we have it. X is equal to
Negative b plus or minus
square
root
of
b to the power of square minus 4ac
all
over
2a.
It sounds horrible when everybody's saying.
yeah, it's okay, but if it's going on in your mind, if you have that, whether it's the tune, whether it's the jingle, whether it's the rhythm, then you just have to be able to have or know how to put the numbers in. Okay, guys, this is going to be different than the last example, because it's not 0, I can tell you that much. But hold on, we got to simplify piece by piece. Ready? I'm just going to move my highlighter as we go. What's negative times negative 1? Positive 1. Plus or minus square root. Okay. What is 1 squared?
That's like
1.
one.
Minus. Now hold on. I've done the minus. Now it's time 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 times negative 1 is positive
Oh,
8.
see, that was like a 7.
4 times 2. No. What are you talking about? Shush.
Over negative 1.
Oh, you guys aren't following. Sorry. That's a negative 1.
Yeah, but that's
That's a negative 1. I see. You're looking at my work instead of your work. That is a negative 1. Mine just kind of went together. So 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 1 is positive 8. And there's a minus. Find the minus before we start with. So minus 8. All over, what is 2 times negative 2?
negative 4.
Negative 4. Now pause. What's the next step that we need to do? We got to do something else. What about this subtraction? Shouldn't we do that?
You subtract that,
of course.
The discriminant
1
is a
plus
negative number.
Negative 7.
B squared, hold on, pause. B squared minus 4ac is a negative number. When the discriminant is negative, if you went into your calculator and did this, it says error, which means no solution. So sometimes we can have just one answer when there's a 0 under the square root. Sometimes, Alan, we can have no solution when there's a negative under the square root. I think that's what you're asking. Good. However, if it's a positive number, if discriminant is a positive number, guys, how many answers do we have? 2. A plus answer and a minus answer. No solution, there's 2 ways of putting it.
Can you put the zeros back?
Yeah, if you want to, you can do what we call an empty set that says, nope, not today. But don't just put a 0, because a 0 is an answer. So put this slash. Kiddos, these are the homework questions that you guys had as far as categories from last night. Now here's what we're going to do. Ready?
Yes.
We are going to silently, ready? On your desk, you have the 9-1 to 9-2 quiz and the correction paper and your homework. If your homework is good and ready to go, and you're like, I have no questions on it, in just a second, when I say go, you're going to walk it back to me in the back. If your homework is not quite ready to go, because you need, personally, you're like, please, can you answer and do one of those other problems I asked? Raise your hand, I'm going to come to you, or maybe call you up to the front. I'll probably do that instead. Not to embarrass you, like we're all going to try and work on whatever we can to get a good grade on Wednesday. We're just working on what we need, okay? What you need. Pause. So, when I say go, those of you whose homework is done, no questions, walk it straight back, come back to your desk again. Those of you guys with homework questions, wait and raise your hand so I know that you have a question. Now pause. Wait, no, I said once you say go, walk it back. You're not passing, you're not distracting anyone else, it's your turn to do what's important for you. Once you are done with that step, you're either raising your hand for homework questions or you are totally done, homework is turned in. Then, step number 2, get out your quiz, start writing down the problems that you missed in the number column so that you know what corrections. Start looking at the problem, seeing if you can fill in 1 or 2 words as to what the problem was about. First section, square root. Second section, graphs. Third section, solving with square root. And then, After homework is all settled, I know what's going on, who has questions, who doesn't. Then I'm gonna say, okay, anyone who wants to work on section 1 corrections, come up here in the first 2 rows. Anyone that doesn't, move back. Just leave your stuff under your desk the way it is. Move your notes and everything under your desk. No one steal anyone else's stuff. Then I'm gonna do the same thing, section 2, section 3. Now, let me take questions before I say go. No, you're walking it back. Hold on, real quick. Ian, go ahead. If you don't need to ask me any questions, then yes. But if you have any questions, you can put it in one ear, but you need to be listening. So if I say section 1 questions, you need to be like, oh, crud, I need that, and then come up to see, you know what I mean? So you need to be listening. Okay, hey, just being silly, okay? Jordan. Diego, sit. I haven't said anything. Diego, sit. I haven't said to move.
Can I hear the this is 9-4, it's page 511.
As long as, make sure you get the homework number written down if you can, because otherwise we get confused and I want to make sure.
Remember that it was like, I did it one night and then I checked the next day, you said it's gonna be like.
Why don't you wait? It's still partially in your notebook, and once you organize, Jordan, whatever you turn in up until Wednesday, I'm not gonna mark late. So you have until Wednesday to get whatever homework turned in.
I just wanted to turn this thing,
Just use homework number. You know what I mean? If you can ask someone who's got their homework passed back, if you can look at their homework.
I was here, brother.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, anyone whose homework is, oh, sorry, Alan. I'm sorry.
But what do I do with music?
Oh, turn it in. Anyone with homework, turn in right now, walk back. Anyone who's like, I need a personal question on homework, turn in.
Have like, have the whole person.
I mean, this is literally. Aiden, sit if you're done. If not, you get what you need. Alright. As you guys get back to your desk, it's okay. No, Angel, get your corrections. Get your paper. Anyone who did not like section 1 of the quiz, come sit in the first 2 rows. Anyone who doesn't need help on the first section, Alan, you are not doing that. Go sit in the back.
By the way, Mr. I missed like a few homeworks, right? I still can't do them.
Do you know what sections they were
I'm
in?
so confused. Yeah, the homeworks, like I wrote them down, but like I don't know why I can't do them. Like the time where I came to talk to you about it, and you showed me everything, and I understood it, and then I went home and I couldn't do it. I don't understand.
Then I would see that if any of those sections 9, 1, and 9, 3, I would really tune in the corrections, because if we could figure this. Alright, kiddos, listen. Eyes on me, Ian, or else you lose the privilege of me answering questions. Alright, anybody in the back right now, if you have music, put it in and tune out the world and work on what is important for you. Anyone in the front, we don't like section 1, so let's work on it together.
Hey,
Wait, does this count as a fun?
No.
People in the back, no talking. Aiden, she has to tune you out. I told her that she needed to. Okay. People, I figured out. Okay, thank you. Then you can just go back again. Alright, people in the front, here we go. We're going to start with, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so we can see it a little bit better. We didn't like radicals and simplifying radicals. Okay? I'm going to walk through as much as I can of these first ones. I realize some of you have other questions than others as far as ones that you don't like, but long story short, we're not so good at these, okay? And that's not bad. And you need to kind of at least review all of them for the test on Wednesday. Let me get it a little bit bigger so that we have as much room to work as possible. Tyler, get your music in your ear and tune out the world. Okay, but you're talking to Josh.
No, because I thought you needed headphones.
Okay. Thank you for being willing, but let's just get it all figured out. All right. People in the front, number 1. I'm going to work quickly. Okay. And if it's too fast, you can raise your hand and ask. If you miss number 1, you should have number 1 written in the problem. the problem number blank, and then you guys for numbers 1 through 5, you can put on every single one, simplifying radicals. So whichever ones you missed, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I want you to put the numbers in the problem number column, and for the missed concept, write simplifying radicals. Now, if any of you guys forgot your quiz or you don't have your correction paper, come up to the front and grab a correction paper. You can do it with us right now. You can do it with us right now. Jane, that right. Oh, it's at the correction paper. I'm sorry. Big old stuff.
Could I get another,
All right, here we go. Diego, please focus on first section. Okay. So now we're good, right? All right. We need to go ahead and guys, square roots for number 1 is a square root. We look for pairs, right? So we need to go ahead and break down 405 and break down x cubed. 405 is a big number. So in your calculator on the day of, right up here. Whose music is it? Is it Jordan?
Probably.
Shut up for a minute. Someone's music is loud, just take it out of your ears, see if you can still hear it, and then turn it down. Oh, wait, no, that's not loud. Rob, turn it down, thanks. Guys, I cannot help if you don't shut your mouth and stop making noise. Try to be as nice as I can. Okay, 405 is a big number. In your calculators, you should have divided by 5. When you divide by 5, you figure out that 5 goes in 81 times. And when you get an 81 in your calculator, hopefully you know you can divide that by 9 and get 9 squared. Now technically you can also go down to 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, but pause. When you divide by 5 and get 81, maybe it's a good thing to ask yourself, if I make 405 root 5 times root 81, is that any better than it was before?
What do you do with the x squared? X.
So far I haven't even dealt with the x. I'm just dealing with the numbers.
I mean,
So if I go down here, question, is square root of 81 a square root I should know?
Yes.
9.
It's 9. Now if you didn't see that, you could have gone to 9 and 9, there was a pair of 9s, and you could have done the square root if you like it better. This is the same thing as square root of 5 times the square root of 9 squared. Some of your brains see the 81, and that's good. You know that's 9. Some of you need to write the 9 times 9, that becomes, in order for you to know, that square root reduces or simplifies. Now, I've just dealt with the numbers. So far, I'm able to change the square root of 405, which is the square root of 5 times 81, to be, at the end of the day, 9 square root of 5. Because the square root of 81 is 9, and the square root of 5 is stuck. Or, look at it this way, the square root for the 9 went away, and the square root for the 5 did not. That's the number. However, I cannot just do the numbers, I also need to do the variables. Now, to make this a little bit shorter, when we're writing, don't worry, I'm doing it right here. What we've done so far is in our calculators, figured out this was 5 times 81. And then x, I could say, is x times x times x, which, do you guys see a pair of x's?
Yeah.
I do. And then we saw this was special, because that can go down to 5 times 9 squared, 9 times 9. This is x squared, and this is just one little x. Then we can take a square root to everybody.
9 squared.
What we're allowed to do with square roots. Which square roots get to go away?
The 9 squared and the x squared.
So those guys come out of the house. 9 comes out, and x comes out. But who is stuck still underneath?
Wow.
Box it, and you're done.
I can't. Wait, why did you put a x at the end of 5?
Under the house, under the house. They need to go under the house.
Then why did you also have one outside?
Because
Oh, I see
outside
it.
the
I
house,
see it.
outside the house. Now kiddos, what is the, yeah, go move to the very back row, go. Very back row. Number 2 has a cubed root. Now, I'm gonna help out just for a little bit and say, if you divided 8 by 2, it's 2 times 4. However, can 4 break down anymore? It's a cubed root. 4 is 2 times 2. For a cubed root, we're looking for pairs of, well, sets of 3s. Is there anything that has a set of 3 under the root right now? Yes. Okay. So I can go ahead and say this is the cubed root of 2 cubed times x. And just like I did over here, I can go ahead and split those up and say the cubed root of 2 cubed and the cubed root of x. What can I do with the 2's like what I did with the 9 and the x's? The cubed root, since I have a pair of 3, can cancel. So who is outside the root? 2. And who is stuck inside because there wasn't enough of it?
The X.
The x.
So easy when we
It's okay, it's okay. We're learning. And you're not turning this in until Wednesday, so you can study this. Okay? That's good. That's good. Okay, number 3. This is called rationalizing. This is not simplified for a couple different reasons. But the first thing for most of you that would help is that there is a square root in the denominator. And a lot of you back then knew that you had to do something with that.
Oh, I don't.
This is called rationalizing. Here we go. Here's number 3. Look up here. So to get rid of the square root from the denominator, multiply by square root 54 on top, multiply by square root 54 on bottom. Now, when we multiply, I'm going to go over this way because that's in my way. 6 is outside the house, 54 is inside the house. It is what it is. On the bottom, it's a 54 times 54, but why is that a good thing? Square root squared, different color, but it's okay, same idea, cancels. Hold on. No, Angel, look, cancels. This is not a calculator problem per se. It's 954. Now, here's the problem. We're supposed to be asking ourselves, can we simplify? Now, square root of 54 can simplify. There are numbers under there that can simplify, but also there are 2 numbers outside of the house, not under a radical, and if you divide in your calculator 6 and 54, 6 goes into 54 9 times. We can do what's called reducing fractions. Reducing fractions. Diego, move over one now. I don't know what to tell you. Wherever you move, people are talking to you and you're smiling. So, stop. 54, if you go in your calculator, 6 goes in 9 times, and 9 ends up being 3 squared. The 6 reduced with the 54. If you divide 54 by 6, it goes in 9 times, and 9 is 3 times 3.
Because you divide by 6.
Cut up the 54, it is 6 times 9. It is 6 times 9. If you cut up the 6, it's 2 and 3, which is nothing special, no pairs. This one is 3 times 3. It's a pair of 2. So when I go ahead and try to simplify, I have square root of 6 times square root of 3 squared all over 9. The square root and the squared cancel. The 3 is now outside the square root. Question, is there anything else I can do? Oh, 3 and 9, they're both outside the house. Good catch, Kaylee. 3 and 9 reduces to 1 and 3. Now guys, I did this a long way because this is how most of your brains would have done it with multiplied by the square root of 54 over square root of 54 right away. And it works.
6 over here.
But if some of you would have wanted to do the 6 times 9 down here first, it might have made it shorter. But if you went square root of 54 over square root of 54, this is probably the best way to go.
Where do you get the piece where?
Oh, 6 times 9, we do it right this way. 6 times 9 is 54. And then I changed 9 to be 3 squared in case people didn't realize the square root of 9 is 3. Okay. Yes. Now, kiddos sitting in the front, I'm going to do 4 and 5 right now. If you want to stay, we'll just get some more homework done. If you don't want to stay, that's fine. Now, section 1 of the quiz, everyone, I think was the hardest. I'm going to keep recording as I do 4 and 5. So if you want to go watch the video tonight, I'll have 4 and 5 on the YouTube playlist from our website. That's fine. But if you just want to do it with me, get it done, I'll go fast. I'm just going to erase and make more work. Nothing needs to be turned in tomorrow, but you guys need to be studying and getting ready for your test. Corrections and review. The review is... Wait, where's the... Oh, I'm sorry. The review is back on this board. If you guys want to take a picture of it. Sorry, it's just chilling back here.
No.
I'll make sure the review is on RenWeb tonight. If you guys want to start on that.
That's all we did, we just read.
No, I'm doing it right now. Sorry.
Is the review due tomorrow?
Some people are able to start on the review because they're going to finish their corrections fast. That's all I was saying. All right, 4 and 5.
Never mind.
All right, guys, number 4. Okay, number 4 was harder than number 3, not because the numbers are big, but because the denominator is harder. It's not just a square root, it has this plus in there. So, the way we undo or work with a square root with a plus, it's called multiplying by the conjugate. We need to multiply by the square root, but also the 3, but we cannot keep the sign the same. We have to use what we call a conjugate.
I think you can use the
You can't keep the radical in the bottom.
So I thought you only radicalize when it's like,
When there's a square root in the bottom.
so even though there's a number in front of the square root.
Yeah, there's still a square root somewhere. Yeah, dig. Because it's called multiplying by the conjugate, you've just forgotten the lesson. The lesson says, I don't want to show you it wrong and show you why. If there was a plus and we tried, it would not work. And I'll show you right now why. I'll show you why this works. When we go to simplify, we have to multiply our fractions. Top times top over bottom times bottom. On top, this 4 can distribute to the 3 and to the square root x. 4 times 3 is 12. And 4 times square root of x. 4 is outside the house. X is inside the house. Right? Over. Now, as we multiply the bottom, it's a little bit harder because we have a binomial times a binomial. You guys remember how we have to FOIL? So we have first times first, which is 9. That's F. We have outer, which is a minus, and then we have outside the house, inside the house. We have inner, which is a plus. Outside the house is 3, inside the house is x. And then we have last. Positive times a negative is a negative. Square root is there because they're both under the house, and x times x is x squared. Now, that was a little hard. So what can we simplify?
Oh, the 3x.
Yeah, those cancel, right?
Yeah.
So those all go away. Now, someone also said, what can we do with the square root and square? Simplify. The x comes out of the house.
Just add 9.
So we have 12 minus 4 square root x on top. Nothing changed. This one has a house, this one doesn't. 9 minus.
Oh,
See it?
Oh,
Nine
yeah, I understand.
minus x. Now, there were a few people that maybe did something really snazzy called factoring, and they saw a common four, but that's good. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. It was very important to FOIL, and Diego, look at it this way. If you did plus, these would not have canceled.
Oh, so
See what I mean?
it's
We
only plus?
needed it to cancel.
It's only plus.
It's always the
Oh,
others,
sorry.
the opposites.
So if it's
If it's
Yeah.
plus, then minus. If it's negative, if it's minus, then it's plus. Always has to be the others and in between. Now, this one, there's no denominator. That's not the problem. The problem is we have to simplify. Distribute, yeah.
This was the hard part of the quiz.
Now, question. Can I put the 2 and 5 together? One's outside the house,
I want
one's
inside.
inside. So I need to go ahead and keep the 2 inside the house, 5 goes outside. For the first area. Carl, this is our last one, so that's the first arrow. 5 is outside the house, 2 is inside the house. We also need the second arrow. Now help me out, there's a minus. Who needs to be outside the house between these two? Well, the 5 already is, because that was the first arrow.
Six.
Second arrow, the 6 is outside, and who's inside?
Oh, 8, 16.
The 2 and the 8.
Wait, where'd you get the 2 from?
I multiplied.
So, can
So-
you just do that in your head, which would be 16?
Well, if some of you want, wait, if some of you want, you could write root 2 times 6 root 8. But to do this, these are both under the house. 6 stays out, 2 and 8 are under. So I can make 2 times 8 to be 16. Yeah, exactly. Then I can say, wait, this 16 is 4 times 4, or 4 squared. So then square root of 4 squared, square root of 16 is 4. And then I can say, oh, I can do that. That's
Wait, why do you
24.
multiply it from?
Because we're simplifying. And 6 times 4 is something I can do. 5 and 2, I can't, because one's under the house. and one's not.
Minus 94?
No. Because he has a house, he does not. I can't put them together. They are not like each other. It stays. That is all I can do. Caleb, sorry, go ahead.
4, like, cause this radical was over 16, why would I just multiply it?
Oh, because, sorry, if it helps, Abe was saying it, I just didn't write it. 16 is 4 times 4, or 4 squared. So that was the in-between step. 16 is 4 times 4. So then I was able to get the 4 out of the house and combine those.
So when you get the 4 out of the square root, why would you multiply? Would you
Because
add?
PEMDAS says, well, when 2 expressions are written next to each other, it's understood multiplication. Like 2x is 2 times x. So 6 square root 16 is 6 times the answer.
How late are you staying after
Probably 4:30. But beginning of class tomorrow, I might really quickly, for those that want it up to the front, because the rest sections, the sections go fast. 1
Yeah.
through 5 was the really hard long.
Yeah, 9
tomorrow?
Up for 9 point.
For a while.
Can I
Like
stay?
6. Okay. Yeah, I'll be here.
Wow.
I need to answer their questions.
Everything's right. Go 1
I need
through
to answer their questions first, but once we answer
Right.
those questions,
Ah.
then,
What'd you get?
then I can answer those too. Okay, cool. Let me stop this video real fast.